My name is Ryan Bikis. I live with my mom and dad. I also have a sister. Her name is Sarah. She goes to college right now, but I was born on June 5th, 1996 in Palm Desert, California. I lived in a mobile home in Palm Desert next to my Nana and Grandpa, and I mostly remember my Nana taking care of me. She always took me to school and she always picked me up. That's why I mostly remember my childhood, because both my parents worked a lot. And I remember about when I was 8 or 9 years old, my parents told me, Ryan and Sarah, that's my sister, they said, you're moving to Boston, Massachusetts. And I remember just being in my parents' room just crying because I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave my friends. And I remember we actually drove cross country from California all the way to Boston, Massachusetts. And it took about 2 weeks because we got stuck in a blizzard. But we ended up getting to Boston, Massachusetts, and I said, okay, where's our home? Where's our home? And they said, well, we don't have one right now. We're gonna live with your grandparents. So I said, okay. So for the next 2 years, we lived in the basement of my mom's parents' house, and it was a rough time. I didn't really like Boston. I was bullied a lot as a little kid. I never liked it there. So then 2 years later, my parents actually ended up telling me, oh, we're moving to Ohio to live with your other grandparents. And then I remember driving the U-Haul all the way from Boston, Massachusetts to Canton, Ohio, and I said the same thing to my parents again. I said, where's our home? Where are we gonna live? Like, I'm excited to see the new house. And then they told me again, well, we're living with your other grandparents now. And I remember living in their basement for about 2 years. And that was when I was about old enough to realize that both my parents didn't have a job. in that we didn't have a home, and it was kind of rough at that time. I felt bad for some reason. I always felt like it was my fault, but I loved living with my Nana. She always knew how to make everything better. That's why I love my Nana so much. And I met one of my first best friends, AJ, because he was the only one that actually kind of liked me when I was a little kid. And I remember when we moved in, he greeted me in such a welcoming way. And then about 2 years later, my parents got a job offer back in California, and then that's when we moved back to California. So now I got back in California, and both my parents got their jobs back, so it was an awesome time for my family. We ended up moving to Talavera. And then middle school was a pretty good time for me, going up to 8th grade, but then once I got into high school, I felt like I was like every other teenager, just trying to find myself. I was craving something, but I didn't know what I was craving. I was wanting something, but I didn't know what I wanted. I was trying to find who I was in a way, but then I kind of was lost in that process. So I realized I was always craving some kind of love and some kind of, like, I just wanted somebody to want me like I wanted them. So I always tried smiling at people and always tried laughing with people, because I always wanted someone to do that with me. That I wanted that in return. And for 3 years I kind of went through a rough time in my life, but this year, kind of ending a junior year, I found out what love was. I found out how peaceful it can be. And I always wanted this love, and I realized that God is love. And I'm not trying to get all religion, I'm not trying to preach or anything like that, but God's love truly did change my life, and people could say that there is no God, but I felt like I did really have an encounter with Him in my life, and I feel like it truly did change me. So now my goal in life is to make a positive impact on every single person that I meet and just love everyone that I can. In such a hating, dying world, it'd be awesome just to throw some love in there. And then my senior year, I met this girl.
Looking you over, you don't know my name yet. By the time you looked away, already knew I couldn't fake it. I got this need for you, forming in my beating heart. I knew the meaning right away, only yesterday we're worlds apart. I got this name for you. If you come closer, I can whisper in your ear. And if you wanna walk away, I'll tell you all the things I know you wanna hear. Come closer to you if you come over. I know we
And that's her.
I got this need for you, forming in my beating heart. I knew the meaning right away, only yesterday we're worlds apart.